My long-awaited book, Astrology Realized, is finally available and waiting for you at Amazon and other online retailers. Get one for you, your loved one, or as a gift, all part of your fabulous journey to understanding astrology. Enjoy. Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to this episode of Nadiya Shah Productions. I am your host, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Stephen Forrest is back! I am so excited. Stephen Forrest is back for season 2 of Nadiya Shah Productions, and I am so grateful that you're here.
I'm delighted to be here.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Well, first of all, I do really want to thank you. It means so much to me that I get to thank you in person, because really, you took a chance on my show, and my show was struggling in the beginning and trying to find its audience, and then I got to interview you, and everything changed after that. Really?
Really? Oh,
yes.
I brought you some luck.
Yeah,
my Jupiter probably
absolutely.
falls somewhere sensitive in your chart then.
Yeah. It was more than just luck. It was, I mean, you gave me legitimacy, and you just brought so much compassion in that moment and let me know that I could continue doing this, that there was something in me.
Yeah.
And it makes...
You're skillful at it. You're a fine interviewer.
Oh, thank you.
I'm kind of a connoisseur of interviewers. I get interviewed so often, and I really know when somebody is bringing out the real me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for that testimony as well. And I don't know, I can never thank you enough. I get emotional sometimes when I think about...
Feel free to cry.
Okay. Yeah, let's not ruin the makeup. So I am at a conference right now, and you are a big star here, of course, whenever you go to these events. And I'm running into tons of your students.
Yes.
And they're talking about an apprenticeship program. So what's this about?
Oh, the apprenticeship program. I started it 14 years ago. I began to realize, much to my shock, I was getting older.
It's always shocking, that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I had my progressed sun opposing my Saturn on the midheaven. And Saturn is the elder, I think Dumbledore and Gandalf, and that's my cosmic job description because it's on the midheaven, so a major trigger of that. And there I was, realizing that I had developed a kind of astrology that really seemed to be meaningful to my clients, and written about it, so people were reading my books. But there was a big step between reading the book and really learning how to do what I do. The conferences where you get to speak for an hour and 15 minutes, or the weekend workshop where it's Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, it just wasn't enough to really convey the integrated wholeness of evolutionary astrology to my possible students. So that's why I began the program. And started in Kansas City with a good little Capricorn plan of meeting twice a year for 4 days, 6 meetings with a kind of program that would get you through to the end. And that worked in Kansas City, where people are more orderly. But then I started one in California, and I went through the 6, and the people in California said, don't stop. So those programs have been going on now for the full, I guess about 13 years for the ones in California. Wow. It's, let's see, I have 2 programs in California. I have one in Australia now. I just started one in Europe a couple of weeks ago in Zurich, and I have one in North Carolina.
So what is it that people learn at the apprenticeship program? Because I know I did a weekend with you, and it changed my understanding of astrology and the chart, and it taught me not only to bring compassion to what I do, greater compassion, but also I learned a lot of techniques, like tons of techniques, and you are known as the evolutionary astrology pioneer. And so what is it? Like, what do people get when they come and learn, like, from you?
Well, I call it an apprenticeship program because people are literally apprenticing to me as if I were the master violin maker or something, and the students are learning how to make violins the way that I do. There are lots of good astrologers in the world, of course, and no shortage of terrible astrologers too. Just to be honest, but they're good ones, and they practice in different traditions and different styles, and I have no need to put down any other form of astrology unless it's being destructive to people. For hurting your clients, there's no excuse for that. But astrology is diverse. People come to me to learn my techniques, what I've developed personally for working with clients, and it's against the spectrum of modern astrological practice. What I do is weird and controversial.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Which I really enjoy. I've made the most wonderful enemies.
Really? But I don't understand. Why would it be weird and controversial? Because it talks about past lives and future lives?
Past lives, I don't talk much about future lives, certainly future possibilities.
Possibilities,
not
yes.
everybody believes in reincarnation, and that's fairly central to the kind of work that I do. It's essentially, my work is rooted in the ancient metaphysical notion that life is meaningful and that we evolve over many, many lifetimes, and we gather experience and learn things the hard way and occasionally the easy way, and astrology can speed up that process. And so it's in the wisdom traditions or the metaphysical traditions, and not all astrologers are comfortable with that. Many come from a more existentialist, essentially scientific or academic grounding, which I find, bless us all, but I just find it empty and dry and boring, and I have no interest in it. Many astrologers, probably the majority, will look at a chart and essentially begin to make pronouncements about the client in two categories. Here's your personality. We'll describe your personality, your psychological profile. And secondly, we'll describe your fate. What's going to happen to you. So here's who you are, and here's what's going to happen. And I find that philosophically just unsettling, because people change. It's such a simple statement. You can say it and everybody nods their head, but your chart doesn't change. And so any astrologer who assumes that they can see, for example, that you have mother issues in your chart, you have a problem with your mother, which might be indicated, for example, by a Moon-Pluto opposition. And so the client comes and says, okay, that's amazing. You knew that I had this witch of a mother. You could see that in my chart. Astonishing. And the astrologer is very proud because they got it right. Then the client says, but what can I do about it? And the astrologer basically says, well, you have a Moon-Pluto opposition, so reincarnate. Which is not the most helpful advice.
Right.
And yet, I know people, and you know people, who've had terrible mother issues and were shaped by that totally, and then they work through it. I'll say through psychotherapy, but I don't necessarily mean with a shrink, through soul healing, which is the ancient meaning of psychotherapy. And people do this. It's not fantasy. We see it. So I have a feeling that the clients, or the potential market pool of astrological clients, and has gotten ahead of the astrologers. The astrologers still tend to be doing a very descriptive kind of astrology, as if there was a one-to-one relationship between the configurations in the sky and your personality. And I hate to sound dogmatic, but that's just baloney. It's not true, and it's easy to prove that it's not true. Individuals are constantly violating the predictions and the descriptions of the conventional astrologers. That's my rant, obviously.
Yes, I love it when you rant. I swear, I learned so much. What do you think makes a great astrologer?
That's a complicated question. It takes certainly a lot of human skills. You got to love people. You've got to burn the midnight oil. There's a lot of technical material in astrology. I think astrology, astrological education currently puts too much emphasis on the technical. And at one level, I would say you can just get as technical as you want to be, as long as it's not eclipsing your heart. But it's the heart, or the intuition, to be less romantic about it, that does the integrative work. Like I'm at this conference, and sometimes someone will come up to me and they'll say, I'm a Sagittarius and my moon's in Gemini, and okay, I'm tracking that, and transiting Vesta is on the midpoint of my vertex and my Ceres, and my Mercury is in a bisectile aspect to my Venus, and my Venus is opposite Neptune, and I just get glassy-eyed. I could track the first couple of statements and stay connected, but I couldn't stay connected beyond that. Every astrologer, even if you're as smart as Rob Hand, who's probably the smartest person in the world, we've all got our limits about how much data we can hold in our head before the energy that needs to be there in the heart is getting deflected into our overworked head, and then the integrative, holistic processes that make you a great astrologer don't happen. So the balance of intellect and intuitive heart kind of processes is very much at the essence of what makes an excellent astrologer.
I know that you are not only respected, there are quite a few people here who are respected, certainly at this big conference, and that's such a treat to be around, but you are particularly beloved. And I know so many of young up-and-coming astrologers who just look at that and go, wow, I would love that to be my career. I'd love to have that achievement, where it's not just about what you're putting out. It is of great quality. But something about the way you put that information out is, it hits the heart. It really affects people, and it changes lives. And what advice would you give to up-and-coming astrologers who look at your career and go, wow, I would love to be there?
Yeah, it's a big question. I guess I'd start off with the question of love. I feel that love, and it feels good. It's an ancient, open secret that if you want to be loved, love. That I try to keep love in everything that I do, and I think people sense that. And it's easy to sound schmaltzy talking like that, but what it means in practice is to never lose hope in people, or try not to never lose faith, and that too can sound a little abstract, but it would be easy to go out into the halls of this conference and overhear conversations, and and hear somebody making a remark like, "Oh my God, what an awful aspect," "Oh, that's terrible," "Oh, my chart, I would do anything to get rid of my chart. You don't have somebody else's chart. You have no idea how I've suffered with it." I mean, we hear this kind of
get off the cross, Mary. We need the wood.
Exactly, which is worth saying. But the reason I'm making this point is that imagine conveying that kind of belief about a chart to a client. I mean, if you believe that about your own chart, you'll believe it about the client's chart too, probably. And it leaves the client in a hopeless position. And it leaves them, wanting to shoot themselves because of the reading, which is not exactly good therapy. If we love people genuinely, if it's more than just an abstraction, it means that we believe in their capacity to turn everything challenging into wisdom and understanding and a better life. And you've got to hold that belief really firmly. Keep an eye on the devil, an eye on the shadow. We've all shot ourselves in the foot and done stupid things, and you can see that in the chart too, and warn people, but all the while honoring their capacity to do better than that. And that's love in action. And I think people sense that about my work, that I'm not going to paint them into a corner in which they're doomed or condemned. That I fervently believe, and I can prove just from experience, that there's no configuration that a person cannot transmute into something wonderful. I annoy a lot of astrologers with the following remark. I would love to declare a 10-year moratorium on the use of the word fate. If we could just forget about fate. I think fate is a bogus concept. fate, the idea that, at least fate that we can see in the chart, that we can look in the chart and make a prediction, this will happen, you will never have children, you'll always be lonely, or you'll be rich and famous, and it just doesn't work well. People can screw up the most wonderful things and do well with the most dreadful ones, and consciousness interacts with the archetypal fields of astrology, and that produces the reality that we experience. So I think there is no fate.
Beautiful. I remember you were saying that before as well, that fate it's one of those things that maybe we as humanity have evolved beyond.
I think so.
Or maybe we need to redefine fate as the most loving vision of ourselves that we can achieve.
Yeah, I prefer the word destiny there. I guess the two words technically are fairly similar in meaning, but the word destiny has a more uplifting kind of feeling to it, and I think we can rise to our destinies and thereby avoid our fates. That's how I would use those two words.
What do you believe that astrology is? Is it science? Is it divination? Is it something else?
Probably all of the above. Science, art, craft, divination. Of course, I say the word astrology all the time, as all astrologers do, but I think of it more like astrologies with an S at the end, because there are so many different phenomena that are astrological. So we can come up with maybe a scientific theory of how astrology works because of electromagnetism in the solar system transmitted to the Earth's magnetic field and transmitted to the brain as it emerges, from the mother. And I think it's a south magnetic pole here in the third eye.
Wow.
And a north magnetic pole in the base of the brain in the back. And I believe that's true. And so you can come up with this wonderfully convincing kind of physical science theory for how astrology works. It makes sense. It may be even true. But then you go to the financial track at this conference, and there are people working with the charts of corporations, like initial public offerings of corporations, and they're, making money, The corporation has no body, it has no brain. It's the scientific explanation of astrology would fail completely with the chart of a corporation, and yet that works too. So it just leaves me marveling and scratching my head, So it's art, it's craft, it's magic.
What do you think is the role of astrology today? Why does astrology matter?
Yeah, good question. Well, I think it matters because we live in an age in which the dominant religion, in the larger sense, not referring narrowly to religion, but the dominant belief system by which people in the Western and increasingly the Eastern worlds experience life, it comes down to a sort of mixture of science and existentialism. The common belief that consciousness can be understood through electromagnetic and biochemical phenomena. Love can be explained through chemistry, and the science is so powerful, and its metaphor has entered consciousness, and that's not a bad thing. I don't mean to beat up science, but like every religion, there are things it sees real well and things that it doesn't see well at all, and there's absolutely no scientific evidence that life has any meaning whatsoever. Now, of course, I believe that life is profoundly meaningful, but that sense is being excluded from the existentialist, scientific, materialist model of life. And it's killing us. As humans, we cannot live without a sense of some larger purpose. I mean, if we don't have that, then life is just one endless pain in the neck, one damn thing after another. Life's a bitch and then you die, as people say, and we laugh at that, but for a lot of people that's kind of a core belief, sad to say. So astrology palpably and demonstrably connects us to the larger universe. We see that there are reasonably predictable patterns of evolution happening in our own lives. And immediately we think, well, why? If the universe works that way, maybe evolution is important.
Excellent. Thank you so much for embodying the absolute best that astrology can be. I know it's changed many lives. It changed my life as well. And I just feel so, grateful. I feel grateful that you are here. And I'm grateful for you too for being here to celebrate Stephen Forrest with me. If you get a chance to learn from Stephen, beg, borrow, or steal, go learn from Stephen in person. I can tell you it will change your life and it will change your practice. Until we connect again, take care.